So Michael Morales is scheduled to fight Gilbert Burns on a UFC Fight Night card, and I must say, I'm invested. It's a typical veteran versus prospect who found his way into the rankings after beating a gatekeeper. On paper, we have every reason to believe that Michael's going to win. He's the younger man. He probably has a strength, height, reach, and everything advantage over Gilbert Burns. But we've all seen how unpredictable MMA can be, and it's one of the reasons why I don't gamble that much these days. The first time I watched Michael fight was on Dana White Contender Series against Nikolai Veretennikov, and I must say, I wasn't that impressed. I felt like his striking was very sloppy as opposed to being dictative, and part of why he has a lot of success is because he's genetically gifted. He's 6 foot with a 79-inch reach. He's longer both vertically and horizontally than 90% of his opponents. And this time around, he's going up against Gilbert Burns, who isn't above 5'11 last time I checked. So Michael should have the upper hand in the striking realm. And when you look at Gilbert Burns' biggest weakness, it's jabs. Who gets dropped by jabs? That's either a testament of Kamaru Usman's jab, how susceptible Gilbert is to it, or most likely both. And one of Michael Morales' biggest strengths is his jab. He lands that on a lot of people. He was landing that on Jake Matthews, Max Griffin, so much so that it actually works heavily against him. He gets countered. He's very open to counters. He's not very dynamic with his striking. He relies heavily on straight punches and low kicks. Michael landed quite a number of straight punches on Max, but there were times when Max was able to counter, like when Michael would throw a jab and Max would counter with the blitz, throwing a barrage of punches, or he would intercept the strikes with the takedown. He wouldn't complete it, but at least he would be able to control Michael in the cage. And when you're fighting a close fight and your opponent's able to control you on the cage, he might just steal the round. That's what Magomed Ankalaev did against Alex Pereira, and that contributed to him winning. And you can't afford to leave any openings for someone like Gilbert Burns because in his fight against JDM, he was winning the fight officially. I had it 1-1, but the control time was enough to convince two of the judges that Gilbert was indeed winning. And if it went to the judges, his hand would have been raised. But I just have this feeling that this nigga Michael is going to attempt the Superman punch off the cage. Michael, if you're watching this, turn on the subtitles. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm sure you understand a little bit of English. Do not attempt a Superman punch off the cage. Gilbert Burns is going to make you think you're going to land it, then counter you with a takedown. He may not complete it, but he might be able to control you against the cage, and it's going to win him the fight. That is, unless you're able to reverse him, which I think you should be able to do. But you never know. Gilbert Burns is a BJJ black belt who went to war with Kamzat and gave all these up and coming fighters a tough fight. So I would not recommend even playing with fire because in your fight against Max Griffin, you attempted a Superman punch off the cage twice, and both times you got counted with the shot. The first time he attempted the shot, didn't complete the takedown, and you broke free. The second time he attempted the shot, completed the takedown, and you got up almost immediately, reversed the position, and kept things on the feet, which is impressive. But it's not worth the risk, man. Like, you don't understand that at the highest level, this could cost you a win. Luckily, in your fight against Max Griffin, you were winning. You were winning the striking exchanges on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised if you outstruck him 3-1. But against Gilbert Burns, there's going to be a whole lot of crotch sniffing. And if you aren't prepared for that, it's going to be a long night for you. Because I know this guy has the wrestling background, but his greatest achievement in wrestling is being a national champion, which is impressive, just not that impressive when you're coming from Ecuador. You know how Islam says Australia has no wrestling? Ecuador has less wrestling than Australia. In the history of Olympic wrestling, Ecuador only won one medal, and it wasn't gold. Australia has about four. I don't know how many of those are gold. So, yes, Ecuadorian wrestling is not that impressive. And it's not just the fact that he's a national champion. Being a national champion is only impressive when the country is something like America or Russia. Because in America, if you're a national champion, it means you're NCAA. I honestly question the legitimacy of Michael Morales' wrestling accolades when I look at his performance in the UFC. It reminds me of India. I mean, you have a country that has a population of 1.4 billion people, and out of the 10 slides of MMA gyms I saw on Google Maps, they couldn't produce one solid UFC contender. Not one. Who was their best guy? What? Anshul Jubilee? Come on. That's a joke. So if you're a national champion in India, it literally means nothing. Like it literally means nothing. So I think the same applies to Ecuador. And when you look at Michael Morales' performance against Neil Magny, a lot of questions should start to arise. I mean, he knocked the guy out in the first round. There isn't much to take from that other than he dominated him. But that doesn't tell the full picture. There's some key things you need to pick up on if you're going to bet on Michael Morales. Neil Magny was able to attempt a takedown. He didn't complete it, which is what I expected. But you're telling me this nigga is a national champion in wrestling, but he wasn't able to reverse Neil Magny, who was 37 years old, for 2 minutes. Neil Magny controlled Michael Morales on the cage for 2 minutes, landed a few clinch knees and short hooks, and Michael couldn't do nothing. You tell me he couldn't reverse? He's a national champion and he couldn't reverse. Like, bro, I'm a better wrestler than Michael, bro. Matter of fact, everyone who's watching this video could probably take down Michael Morales. I'm calling it. I'm freaking calling it. And look, I know he knocked the nigga out. He knocked Neil Magny out cold with that spinning back elbow, man. It was impressive. But I'm not that confident in his wrestling, man. I think there's so many other fighters in the top 15 that are better grapplers. I genuinely think Ian Gary is a better grappler than Michael Morales, despite the wrestling accolades. I genuinely think Shavkat, yeah, come on. We all know Shavkat's a better grappler than Michael Morales. But look, I'm just saying, like, his part of victory in his fight against Gilbert Burns is to keep things on the feet and have good takedown defense. So I'm just hoping he's going to drill that. And I hope he doesn't initiate any takedowns because he might very well win the grappling exchanges. Who knows? But it's just not his strength. His strength is the kickboxing, staying on the outside, landing the jabs, the crosses, very powerful crosses. He should work more on his precision, be more like Carlos Prates. Carlos is powerful, but he's also very precise, and that's why he's knocking niggas out cold. I doubt Carlos hits significantly harder than someone like Jeff Neal. I just think he's a lot more precise. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace out. Let me know who you think is gonna win in the comments.